How's it going today, Naomi?
Hey, it's pretty good.
Yeah?
Feeling pretty stable.
Lots of stability in your life these days, eh?
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm trying to cultivate it. It's an ongoing, healing isn't linear, Dub, as
Right.
the therapist would say. Yeah.
Well,
No,
tell
good.
me, sorry to interrupt you. Tell me a bit about this album. I mean, I think on your website, I read somewhere that you've been writing this kind of for a while, and it sort of almost takes place, like the writing and sort of making of it takes place over the past few years, really. Basically, since your last album came out which was kind of right the year before the pandemic. So
Yeah.
lots of emotions and things happening in this, eh?
Oh, yeah. All the feelings. I've got lots of nice messages from people being like, I listened to your album twice. I laughed. I cried. What a roller coaster of emotions. Somebody said, I feel like I wrote these songs. I was like, good. That's the goal. Please don't steal my art. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I wrote like one of the bang-in songs off there is called House on Fire. It's more of like a rock pop.
Yeah.
Synthesizers. I wrote that right after my first album came out. Piece by Piece came out in the spring of 2019. And then I wrote that after the album came out, and it just kind of missed the deadline to get on that album.
Okay.
So that was there. And then I wrote Stability actually right before the pandemic. And a lot of people think I wrote it during because it's, appropriate. But yeah, it was more like right before the pandemic. I was becoming a little more stable and domestic and, buying area rugs and houseplants and, trying to be a grown-up who didn't live in a van. And, yeah, just coming to grips with, like, as a touring folk artist, stability sometimes is, kind of a bad word or like, we're artists. We're supposed to be free spirits and
Like a vagabond,
yeah,
just kind of
when
living on the road.
Everybody deserves a little stability, and turns out I like it. So yeah, and then the rest of the songs, most of them I think I wrote during the pandemic. I had a real dry spell for like 6 months where I didn't play any instruments or sing at all because I was just too sad. I just learned how to macrame and hyper focused on other things.
Did you miss like? Was it sad in general, or is it like a music-specific sad that you weren't playing? Was it like, I miss playing for audiences, I miss playing with other people, so why bother? Or was it kind of everything?
Yeah, I think it was realizing, like, really trying to figure out why I play music, because all of a sudden I'm not playing music for people, and I don't know who I am, and I had, like, a whole identity crisis. But I think it's that for me, like, I write music to process my own lived experience, and then I play it to people's human faces in person to have that reflected and validated. And so I think not having, we were all going through a pandemic together, but still feeling so separate and isolated. And I think a lot of musicians I know had that same identity crisis of like, now what do I do? Like, how do I value myself if other people aren't applauding and smiling and telling me I'm doing a good job? So yeah, then I wrote a song called Easy on Myself, which started just as a little mantra to myself. I gotta go easy on myself. I gotta admit when I need help. And then I wrote Way Back When. The chorus is, I miss the road, I miss my friends, I miss who I was way back when. Like, they're all pretty pandemic specific. And I think a lot of musicians right now I kind of feel like, oh no, we're all going to show up at festivals this summer and we've all written the same songs, like, I wrote this during the pandemic. But I don't know. I think even though we have this collective, feeling that we all went through this thing together, everybody processes things differently. And it's been so nice to have people say, like, it resonates with them on any level. Because I really wrote these songs just to get myself through. And then once I stopped crying and could sing them without ugly crying, I recorded them, and now it's a thing.
Do you think this is more personal than maybe you've been previously?
I don't know. I mean, Piece by Piece was like a lot of songs about codependency, so it might have been a little more of like a niche problem. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty personal in my songwriting all the time. But I do think the more I write, the more honest my writing becomes, and it's a little less like cryptic. Yeah. Like, a lot of these songs are, what I'm saying is what I'm saying. There's no read between the lines.
Yeah.
No mystery there.
I did want to say that what got me about this is, as I said, I'd read that you had written a lot of this kind of before and during the pandemic. So I was expecting something that would be morose, which is you do that a lot. You
Classic
like a good song,
Shore.
a sad song, right?
Yeah.
It was not that. There was a lot of hope in this album, a fair amount of positivity. It's real. But every once in a while, you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting those little tidbits in there. Did that surprise you when you were writing it, that some of these songs maybe turned out a bit more positive than perhaps you're kind of known for previously?
Yeah. I think it was a surprise to me, like writing the song Boundaries. I wrote it as just kind of like a joke sting, like a little jingle for me to sing to myself.
Yeah.
Boundaries, they're easy to set, not so easy to hold. And then we were in the studio and there was 7 songs pretty much finished. And then my producer was like, well, we need one more. 7's weird. Like, you got to do 8 songs. And I was like, well, I have this kind of like joke song, and I sang it for them, and they're like, that's not a joke song, that's a real song. So we laid it down, and I think it's, 2 minutes long because there's not much to it. But he was like, so write some verses. What do you mean? What do you mean about boundaries? What do you mean? So yeah, they did turn out a little peppier than I thought, and that's also thanks to my cool band of Kitty and the Rooster. Jody and Noah and Ryan came and played a lot of electric guitar and bass, and I think it was also like, it took me a long time to get back to playing music, never mind writing it, during the pandemic. I've never had a dry spell that long and avoided music. And my therapist was, like, well, you need to sit down and write some songs. It's how you process your feelings. And I was like, there's too many feelings. There's too many songs. Like, I couldn't boil it down. And then I think I got past the hump. Well, I got on medication. That helped. And then I was able to kind of focus. And yeah, I think just like writing little mantras to myself that were like positive affirmations without the intention of anything turning into a full song. And then I think I kind of knew, like, I can't write my saddest songs because I'm already in a pretty fragile state. I don't want to push myself over the edge. So yeah.
Awesome. Quick, we got to talk about the Valentine's Day singograms, but where can people hear your album, get it, if it's physically available?
It is streaming everywhere on the internet. I have no physical copies. I'm contemplating doing vinyl, but you'll hear about that if it happens. I can't do CDs again. I've got hundreds of Twin Peaks CDs in the garage waiting to be turned into some sort of craft. I don't know. So it's on the internet. You can go to my website. All the links are there. NaomiShore.ca. Also, where you can order a Valentine's singogram.
Yes, tell us all about that. This is something that has been done previously. I think you were a part of. You decided to bring it back this year, and you're going to throw some money towards the Fort St. John Women's Resource Society from the proceeds, right?
Yeah, I'd been a part of it in the past, where it was we kind of did it as a fundraiser for the Women's Resource Society, and it was always kind of in partnership with the Vagina Monologues when we used to do that show. So it was all like promotional advertising and getting the word out about the show. But I remember doing it, I think we did it 3 years in a row, and it's like such a nice way to spend any day. Just like embarrassing people, singing to them, and like showing up with balloons and flowers at their place of work. And like people buy them for their boss to embarrass them, or for your husband as like full on, lovey-dovey. Or we've gone to like elementary schools. So I didn't have the time or the resources to organize it into this huge thing like we have in the past. But I was like, well, I could at least do it myself. I've got 4 hours on the morning of the 14th. So yeah, for $50 you get like a little sweet treat. Red Barn is donating some goodies, and then we'll have a couple balloons and flowers, and I'll write there's a spot on the order form for love notes, so I'll print out Valentines to go with each one. Yeah.
Is there like one song you're going to sing that's standard, or does it kind of change up depending on who the person is?
No, so on the order form, which we figured this out the last time we did it, was you specify what type of relationship it is, if it's like family or friend or a lover, and then I'll choose the song based on that. So I think I'll pick 4 or 5 songs for each category, so I don't have to sing the same thing every 15 minutes. But yeah, on the website you can book a singogram, you could do, it's just a form you fill out with all the info. You get to choose your time slot. And I've only got 12 available, and they're going fast.
All right. So you got to head over to naomishore.ca to order the Valentine's Day Singogram. You just click on V-Day up at the top for that order form. You can also, again, find out more about the new album, Stability. Listen to it there. Find the links. Again, you can hear it on Spotify, Apple Music, all that good stuff. Naomi, thanks for coming here. I appreciate seeing you this morning.
Oh, you're welcome.
This community interview is supported by your Member of Parliament, Bob Zimmer. Stop by his office in Fort St. John at 9916 100th Avenue and in Dawson Creek at 10421 10th Street.